Hello everybody, how's it going? BigLT here. Welcome to my new top 10 video. This is my top 10 favorite games I played in 2023. Now for this to qualify, it means that you have to basically play it first time. So this is more of a first time played in 2023 actually, not so much like, oh, he's played every game that, in 2023 he's made a list on it. No, not exactly. This is just the first time I played a new game in 2023. So if I own the game, played it in 2023, it counts. Now, technically speaking, this is recording like a week after the beginning of the month of December. So after this video, whatever games I played, say in the rest of December, that'll be added to next year instead. So without further ado, let's begin. I got my list right here written down. I kept track of all the games I played over the course of the year, and kind of eliminated some of the games I didn't think were necessary, some games that I wanted to bring up and everything. So you'll see what I mean as we go through this list. So anyway, let's begin. Number 10 on my list, Payday 3. And I know Payday 3 has had some problems recently after it released. It's had some bugs. My friend in Northern Ireland, we both pre-ordered the same game. He's missing some content that I have, and since then we just haven't really touched much of it. But we did play a little bit of it. It's fun. I like the idea that difficulty ranks up the more you go through it when the cops are called. Though I do like Payday 2's version of how the difficulty is. Basically, you select the difficulty, and it's just that difficulty throughout the whole, heist. But in this one, it's more realistic. It's like you start basically at whatever difficulty you're starting with. So, for example, you can start on hard, and when the cops are called, you're going to get the hard cops over the normal ones. Me and my friend, we like to start at normal because that makes things a little easier on us. So, and of course, there's like new heisters coming. You have the new heists themselves coming. Some old ones have come back, like Cook Off, which is my favorite heist, and the original Payday gang is back, obviously. But we got like a whole new contact basically to do these heists. And the only downside I have to say is that it's all online only. There's no like offline single player type stuff anymore like Payday 2 had. Not a big deal for me, but I can understand that, if you're playing Payday 3 and your internet just drops all of a sudden, you're booted from the game, you lose everything. I can understand that being a problem, and that's why I'm sure a lot of people are saying we need an offline mode in case things like that happens. Or for example, maybe there's some people who don't have internet but they have the game. Well, they can't technically play the game because it's all online only. That's kind of like a downgrade that I can think of from the original Payday 2, but regardless, a lot of the cool stuff is still in there. It's more just buying new. You have to level up your heister, your account or whatever, to buy new weapons to take with you on heists and all that stuff. So, all in all, Payday 3 is a really good game. I really like it. Maybe give it a try if you haven't. It's a probably good. They'll be patching things up here and there. They'll listen to the community. So there's all that. But anyway, number 9, Azure Lane Crosswave. It's basically a game around an anime, but this game actually does a good job. So it's a visual novel, but it's also got actual gameplay too. So you'll have all of the different Kansen, as they're called. They're battleship girls. They'll be talking about this. Apparently, it sets place after the anime because all the different factions are basically working together, so to speak. But they're also working to basically strengthen each other. So there's that to consider. But like I said, it's a visual novel on top of like actual battling. So it's like combat stuff like that. One of the characters that I know for sure that wasn't in the anime that is in the game is Shimakaze. And if you watch Ken Kole, You know there's a Shimikaze in the anime for that one, but in the anime for Edgerlane, there's no Shimikaze. Well, she's in the game, and she's adorable. I love her. You actually start playing as her. She's like the starter battleship for that. But as you go through the game, you unlock new ones. You can apparently marry these battleships. You're the commander, but you get to marry them. You go to like different. You can't go to different locations throughout the chapters, and do stuff there. There's kind of a there's kind of a mode where you take on a different Kansen, and they get tougher as you go higher, and all this other stuff. There's galleries, there's a shop, stuff like that, to strengthen your Kansen and make sure maybe I can make them stronger with this item, and then you kind of go from there. And of course, as long as you bring the Kansen with you into battle, they will also level up upon clearing the level. So, and once you beat the game, or once you get to a certain point, you can always like go back to a previous chapter if you want to level them up, a little more easier without having to go through the story. If you have difficulty, you can always go back to a previous level. So anyway, moving on. Number 8, Farming Simulator 23, which conveniently I'm playing right now on my Switch. Compared to Farming Simulator 22, there's a few good things and a few bad things. One of the good things I can think of is they put all the production chains on the map instead of just saying there's just a select few. I like that improvement the best, because when I play Farming Simulator 22, it kind of sucks that not all the production chains are on the map at once, where if you want a specific production chain, you have to build it in the menu or whatever, or at least in the shop. But you can only place it on a piece of land that you technically own. In Farming Simulator 22, you don't need to worry about that. All the production plants are right there on the map right away, including the fact that they also put grape fields and olive fields on the map as well, so that way you don't have to worry about building those too. There's a field that you can buy for that. You still need the equipment, obviously, and all that stuff. It occasionally updates with new vehicles every now and then. I think they just released their second update, and this game came out back around, I think it was like April. Some of the downsides that I can think of is, for me personally, I like to have, when I play Farming Simulator 22, I like to just turn off the periodic plowing, the fieldstone, liming, things like that. You technically don't have to worry about liming, and you don't have to worry about the fieldstones, but you do have to worry about plowing, and it's kind of sucky. Also, you do also have to worry about weeds as well. So for me, I don't like doing like weeding either. I don't like to do the whole weed things either on 22. So I usually disable that one. But in Farming Simulator 23, you have to deal with the weeding. You have to deal with the plowing, and it kind of sucks. Otherwise, basically, they made, if you own a production, you're making pallets off that. They make the whole like loading the pallets onto a forklift and into the trailer much easier. For one, you can take your I don't know if it's a pitchfork, it's more of a forklift. You can take your forklift and you go up to a pallet and it auto loads it onto the fork or whatever. And then when you take it to a specific trailer that's made for loading and unloading the pallets, it auto loads them onto that as well, which is a huge improvement, because I usually struggle sometimes with that on 22, to a point now where I'm just using a specific mod to take my product and put it onto a low loader. And I like that improvement better on Farming Simulator 23, where it's like, well, now it's auto loading onto the forklift onto the trailer, and then you can just sell it that way. And also they brought back the prices for like what month it sells the best to other months. The only difference is that they don't have seasonal growth. They don't have the seasonal growth thing in the game. Kind of down. It's another one of those downgrades. I think it's like, I like the seasonal ones, the seasonal growth one, because then it's just, it looks cooler to have the seasonal growth rather than just say do do it all in like a couple of months or whatever, and then harvest it and take it to a, you know, things like that. They don't have that many farm equipment in the game, but they are updating it, as I brought up before. They do update it to add more farming equipment every now and then, so it's not, you don't have to pay for it. They're usually free. I think there's a certain couple of platforms where you have to pay for it, but regardless, most of the time it's free updates, and you can just get it then. So anyway, moving on. Number 7, Hyperdimension Neptunia Reverse on the PS5. It's it's slightly bit visual novel-y, but it's more like just cutscenes, I guess. But it's based on another anime, just like Erling, called Hyperdimension Neptunia. Actually, I have that anime over there. I don't know if it's following the same as the anime, considering like I haven't touched the anime yet. But a lot of the characters from the anime are in the game as well. You got your main character, your main protagonist, Neptune. You have Noir, Vert, Blank, and they can transform into like specific goddesses. Like Neptune could be Purple Heart, Noir can be Black Heart, Vert's Green Heart, and my favorite, Blank, would turn into White Heart. But also do like Neptune as well. And these 4 also have sisters. So there's Nepgear, Ram and Rom. I don't remember Blackheart's sister's name. And Vert doesn't have a sister. So, and then there's like these other characters that join you on the adventure. You're going to take care of this antagonist, which I don't know the name of her. I can never figure out what her name is. But you're being led by kind of like a guide by the name of Histoire. So you have to fight monsters, and then you have to recruit the other goddesses, and then you have to go through the story some more. There's also like a stock thing where you take on missions. The different missions depend on the stock between the 4 different things. There's a true ending, and then there's just a standard ending. The standard ending is Neptunia, or Planet Neptune, basically has the most stock, and the other 3 doesn't have all that much in their stock. But if you want the true ending, you have to make sure all 4 of those locations are at least 20% or higher, equally as much as possible. So you have at least 20% to 25%, or in a way, to actually get the true ending. So that way, all 4 of the areas, it's basically the console wars. So basically, your stock is based on the console wars. So doing the missions and helping out each individual thing, trying to make sure their stock goes up in the console wars, stuff like that. But it's a combat thing. It's an RPG. It's fun. A JRPG actually is what I believe it's called. It's kind of like Final Fantasy-ish in a way. It's best I can explain. It's a little bit Final Fantasy. I don't play Final Fantasy, nor do I play Kingdom Hearts. But I do know there's some good games out there and such. But this game is going to probably be a starter for me if I ever do get into games like Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts. So if you like those games, obviously, try this game out too if you haven't. It is on PlayStation. I don't believe it's on Xbox. It might be on Switch. I don't know. But it's good. It's a good game. I haven't really beat it yet, but it's really good. Number 6, Train Sim World 3. I love trains. I love locomotives. I like everything about them. I like railroads. Been a fan of trains since I was a little kid, and the fact that I can actually basically take control of an actual a real life locomotive and take it to point A to point B while managing speed and different stuff, it's fun. I love it. I actually platinumed this game earlier this year, but I haven't really touched much on the other DLCs yet, and I still need to work on that. They actually also released Train Sim World 4, so that might be a thing I'm going to be looking into next year if they did want to be on the list. I really enjoyed Train Sim World 3. They have some livery stuff on there. I'm trying to figure out how to get this one livery to work. Even though I have the DLC for it, I'm trying to get it to show up, but I haven't. There's a lot of good things about it. You can download the game for free if I remember right, but you don't get to do much. You have to get the DLC for the routes and everything to actually enjoy the game fully. So there's that. My favorite train of all is actually the Santa Fe. So I like all the different versions of the Santa Fe locomotive, and they actually have one of them, and you can actually, well, actually no, they do have one of them. They do have a main Santa Fe train, but I think there's a livery for another train that actually has the classic Santa Fe, with the red fonts on the side, and it's gray and red and all that stuff. Yeah, that one. That one's actually my favorite version of the Santa Fe, but they have another version of it on the game. It's all right. I think it's pretty cool looking, but yeah, just being able to control like diesel trains and steam trains. You can do passenger cars. You can do different ores or cargo and such. It's very, very fun. You don't get to make money off of it. It's just basically take control of the train, go from point A to point B, managing your speed, right? And you have to stop at a certain spot. And you basically are just, it's kind of more of a time thing, but it's fun. I do like it regardless. But anyway, next up, number 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I love Ratchet and Clank, the first game. Well, I wouldn't say it's the first game, but it was the game they also made a movie off of. And when they announced that Rift Apart was coming to the PS5 after the PS5 was announced, I was like, I gotta play that and try to platinum it, just like I did with the other one. And I did. I managed to platinum it, and it was really good. It was really good. I can't really go into too much into spoilers if you haven't played it yourself or if you're going to play it. Just the fact that, you have Rivet, who's basically Lombax of a different dimension, where there's another, like basically the dimension that Rivet is from is basically also like another dimension of everything that we know of in the original Ratchet and Clank, or at least in the Ratchet and Clank universe. So you have basically everybody that shows up in there. Like you have your own Skidman Marks, you have a separate version of Captain Quark, you have your separate version of what's his name? Dr. Nefarious, that's the you have a separate version of Clank that I don't know if it was ever shown in the trailers, but you have a separate version of Clank and a backstory with that. I love the fact that Zircon Jr. is voiced by the guy who actually does Invader Zim. That was my favorite part of the game, hearing Zim's voice, or the character who does Zim's voice. Even Daggett. Daggett and Zim were like my favorite thing, some of my favorite characters growing up back on Nickelodeon. And just the fact that that character does such a great Zim impression. Well, he's the one that does Zim anyway. But the fact that he nailed that voice for Zircon Jr. I was like, it's Zim! What's he doing? Because it's an alien world. Obviously, you gotta have the guy who did Zim involved. A lot of the cool weapons in there. The Rhino actually did come back, but I think it's been downgraded a little bit, maybe, at least for the final boss. Because when I played the original Ratchet and Clank and got the Rhino, the final boss for Dr. Nefarious was so laughably easy. It takes like no time to beat him. Whereas like, you play it the fair way, you're gonna probably struggle a little. I struggled when I didn't have the Rhino, so. But I like everything about the game. There's like some new characters. You have some new weapons. You gotta go. You go between both Rivet and Ratchet while exploring different planets and all sorts of stuff. It's very fun. It's very fun. Definitely go check it out if you don't have the game, or if you have a PS5 and been pondering about it, you won't be disappointed. Anyway, number 4, WWE 2K23. So I do like the WWE 2K23 game. I just don't play it as much, with the exception of something that goes on my second channel. That's the closest thing I do, but that's the reason why it's this high on the list, because it's more for the second channel, and I do come back to it like 2 or 3 times a week. So a lot of great superstars came back. They put Bray Wyatt in the game as DLC, and after they put him in the game, shortly after he passed away, and they used his Wyatt 6 thing. And I heard that if when they announced WWE2K24, it is possible they're going to make Bray Wyatt the cover star. I've heard people say they shouldn't do that because it would be disrespectful for him because he just passed away. Other people want him to be on the cover star because it's because they want to showcase of him and his career, so to speak. They want to showcase of Bray Wyatt, and even though you won't have Bray Wyatt being filmed and talking about his matches or whatever, you can at least have the superstars that have had matches with him talk about those matches with Bray Wyatt. And it's kind of like well, I remember, it'd be like John Cena, where it's like, I remember when I had a match with Bray Wyatt, and he did this whole thing with the children's choir and everything. It led up to this match at this pay-per-view or whatever, and kind of do it that way, something like that. Or you can do one with Randy Orton, where it was like, I remember having a match with Bray Wyatt when he was known as the Fiend and everything, and you kind of have a match, you kind of do something around that, things like that. You kind of have like certain superstars in 2K24 basically talk about their matches they had with Bray Wyatt and all that stuff, and then you control Bray Wyatt or whatever. You can control Bray Wyatt or you can control the other character. I don't know. Depends on how they put it. But 2K23, obviously, one of the big improvements they did for that game was the My GM mode. It wasn't just 1 year, you're done. No, it's as many years as it takes for you to complete a certain amount of Hall of Fame trophies, which is 10. And once you get your 10th one, finish the year up, you basically win the game. You can technically, I think you can also technically continue it as much as you want. We probably looked at that when we were doing the Let's Play for the game earlier in the year with me, Scotty, and the Groby. We had a 4-player My GM thing, but it was Scotty who was in full control, my GM, Groby's GM, and another friend of ours named Schizo. We were AI computers. That's why my guy was not doing promos most of the time. I don't know why he wouldn't. Whereas the Grobies and Schizo's AIs were doing promos like more often than mine was. And they were always looking at me, it's like, why are you not doing promos? I'm like, I don't know, blame my AI. Apparently he doesn't know when to book a promo. So that was that. They also, I think they added some new championships, I think, in the game too, but I can't remember what those championships were. Oh, the Performance Center Championship was one of them. And it's okay. Speaking of which, the championships, in the past, the titles didn't actually have the little animations before the match started when they put the title online. But they did that for all the titles now. The only problem is, for me, is that they made it the generic ones, where it's like back when, W12, I should say, when you put the titles online, they all had their own special animations just for that one title, and that's what I was hoping they bring back. But they kind of did. They brought it back halfway. But if I was saying, like, if you're gonna do that, keep it for the custom titles. But I kind of want more of like this is that title that was put online back in that day. So like the WWE Championship back in the days of Hulk Hogan, you can have just the font will be enough. You don't have to actually put the title on there, but just the font will be enough to say, okay, this is that title. There you go. Boom, done. But and then there's like some other ones, like you do the WCW belt when you had the big gold before it became the World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe do something with that if they have, because they've done that with the WCW Championship from '91 and '93. Maybe they could have done that with the big gold one, but I don't know. And then throw in some like custom ones, like you have the Brahma Bowl one. You can throw in a really cool custom one for that. The Smoking Skull could do the same. Just do that for some of the other ones. They have a John Cena Legacy one. You can do that. This John Cena Spinner United States title. Maybe do something with that. Just throwing some things out there. But anyway, it's a really good game. Big improvement over like W20, of course, or W2K20. But then they did W2K22. People were kind of halfway mixed on it because they're thinking like, well, it's probably going to be as sucky as 2K20. Other people were like, well, still check it out. And 2K22 obviously delivered what needed to be done. And then 2K23 delivered even more. Very proud of 2K, what they're doing. Can't wait for 2K24. Hopefully they keep that trend up. And it seems like they know how to make the game work again. Next up, number 3, Forza Motorsport. Big shocker. Forza's not number 1? Yeah. There's something else showing up on number 1, but we'll get to that. Forza Motorsport. I love it. I really do. I know it just came out. I haven't been playing it too much, only because I'm looking out for liveries, and mainly liveries of anime characters and such. And it's still relatively new-ish, but there are some stuff that are being added. New cars get added, new tracks get added. I like the idea that, oh, now a car has a level, which goes up to 50, which maxes it out. And if you get like a certain amount of cars at level 50 in a certain brand, you get like a discount. And that's cool. And you got all these like different like tours and everything, like with these like different championships or whatever, where you have to go through a certain amount of races to win. And sometimes some of those like championships say, you know, you can start with 2 races and they say, oh, we want you at C for your car perk. And then the next race after that, for the next 2 races, it could be like, oh, now we want you at B rank. And then the next one after that could be like, oh, we want you at A rank. And then you basically have to do that. So you can level up your car to make it go faster. Now, I learned this the hard way because I would try to like grind the car levels to make sure it was at those things before I started moving on. Only to find out that, well, you can technically have a car classified as a C and go to a track where it's B, and your car can still be classified as a C. The AI won't be going towards that B. They'll be just basically around the same levels as you are. Some of them will be a little faster, some of them won't be. If you do get to max out your car level, obviously they can't go any higher than that. So you're pretty much in the clear for that. And that's the thing, like I love Forza the most when it comes to racing games. Even more so than Gran Turismo. And Gran Turismo 7 actually delivered a great racing game for me as a way to get into the series a little bit better. But Forza Motorsport, I heard that this is going to be the only motorsport game for the Xbox Series X and S, and they'll still release more Forza Horizon games, but this motorsport is going to be the only motorsport, and they're going to keep updating it over and over again throughout its lifespan. And just so we don't get too burned out and saying, well, there's nothing new coming for motorsport, we will technically still have the Horizon games to look forward to. So if we need to take a break from the motorsport, we can always jump onto the new Horizon game, go through that, do whatever we want. You know, if we feel like we're getting a little burnt out, but we're waiting for the next Forza game, we can always go back to motorsport, do what we need to do in there, get some new cars, check out the new tracks, things like that. So I like the idea that they're doing for motorsport. Hopefully they continue that further. Anyway, number 2, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, another racing game. Yes. I really enjoyed the first Hot Wheels Unleashed game. I really did. There was some good music in there. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 doesn't have that as good as a soundtrack as the original did, but I like the fact that they had new cars. They got new environments. I found out that one of the expansions coming up next, if you don't want to be spoiled, and maybe try to fast forward a little further just to make sure. But one of the new expansions that's coming out next is or at least the first one, is actually the Acceleracers expansion, and the environment's going to be the Accelodrome. I cannot wait to see what that thing looks like. I really can't wait. And we've had Accelerator cars already put into the game, from the Metal Maniacs to the Teku to the Silencers now. So now we got Silencer cars, as well as a couple of the racing drone vehicles, and I hope they can put more racing drone vehicles in there. You know, I'm not saying they should probably add that big giant thing that would the sweeper or whatever. I don't think they should add the sweeper, but no, some of the more racing vehicles that they had in there, like the RD02 and whatever the other one is that they added. It's the first time I'm hearing the name of the car, so I don't really remember the name of it. But it's not just that. They have the DR2 back, so I'm glad to see the DR2 back in the game. It's the Wave Rippers one. I had somebody call me out and say, well, why don't you make the Teku version and use that too for a video? Technically speaking, it's only one car for the whole series. So I already done the DR2. I don't need to do another one just for the Teku one, so to speak. My favorite location, my favorite environment, I think by far that game has delivered on, I think is the arcade one. I think I like the arcade environment the best, and probably my second favorite would have to be the Dinosaur Museum, maybe. Hang on, I'm trying to... Oh, no, wait. I take that back. Arcade, mini golf course, then the Dinosaur Museum, and then probably after that's the backyard, and then the gas station. But it doesn't mean that I don't like the gas station. I do. It's just, it's just how I look at it. But yeah, there's so many different cars in there. I platinumed this game as well, and I'm glad I did, because I platinumed the first Hot Wheels Unleashed, and now that I platinumed Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, I was super happy. I think it's actually my most recent platinum that I've gotten to for the PlayStation. And I'm still working on the Let's Play and everything and such. So yeah, that's number 2. And finally, number 1. What should be number 1? What is number 1? Well, I'm 1 trophy away from platinuming this. And yes, it is a PlayStation game. It won Best Mobile Game of 2023 at the Video Game Awards. And I love the characters. I love the story that's going on. I can't wait to continue more of it later in 2024. Honkai Star Rail is number 1. I love Honkai Star Rail. It's such a good game. I love all the characters in there. I love Silverwolf, March 7th, Fua, which is like in the Lawfu. And then she's involved with like some ghost things or whatever, as well as like Guilafe, something like that. I like her. Stella, who's the main female character, the main trailblazer. Herda is amazing. I love Herda. Sela, Bronya. There's just so many. There's so many great characters in that game. There are some good guy characters in there too. I should probably bring up like Dong Hong. He's got a cool like mysterious backstory kind of thing going on for him. Welt is all right. He's pretty cool. I like how he's got got all this knowledge going on in him, and he's kind of cool. Pom Pom's pretty cool too. Being the conductor of the I think it's called the Star Rail, but it's basically, they call it the Nameless too, I think. What other characters can I think of? Serval is pretty good, as well as her brother. I just can't remember her brother's name right now. It's out of my head. Gaspard, I think is his name. Gaspard? I think I'm right. I think it's Gaspard. My ex actually pulled Gaspard, aka Parker. But what else was there? Who else is there? Oh, Kafka's pretty good. I haven't used Kafka aside from the opening stuff, but if she ever comes back for a rerun, I like to try to pull her, just like I did with Silverwolf recently, and I did also with Sela, and I'm still trying to get Bronya. I want to get Bronya more than anything. There's also these other activities you can do, like you can help out with the Bellbog Museum, try to get that up and running. You recover some exhibits. There's the thing I mentioned with the ghost hunting with Fua, and you get to work on social media with that and kind of build up a fan base with that, and that's pretty fun. There's also this thing with the docks and the markets, so to speak. So you have to do shipping and such. It's pretty fun. And even though there's only been 3 locations so far in the game, I love each and every one of those locations. The music is amazing. Combat's amazing. A little bit different from Genshin Impact, to be honest, where in Genshin it's just you're only using one character, but you can attack, without having to take turns or anything. So that's cool. But even though you have to take turns in Honkai, you're actually using 4 characters at one time, and it all depends on the speed of those characters and when they actually are taking their turns in battle. So I love Sela the most in my party, because if she knocks out a character, she has a chance to attack again, like right away. And I just love that about Sela. My friends have been using Sela pretty well. I've been getting money from them every time they use her. And now I'm working on getting Silverwolf, getting her perks and everything set up, trying to get her maxed out, catch up with the rest of the party and such. So hopefully you guys get to see a video of me using Silverwolf here pretty soon. So see what happens. But anyway, that's it. That's my top 10 video. I hope maybe some of these games makes you look into some of them and say, hey, I'll check out this game. And, because he said he likes this game. Maybe I'll check out this game and try it out for myself. And go for it. Go for it. Definitely check it out if you haven't. But anyway, I've been BigLT. Thanks for watching this top 10 video. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.